And if FAMU had their players as good as those dudes played, it might have been a different outcome.
Yeah, we be talking about that today.
On today's Throwdown Thursday edition of the Yacht Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis recap Week 1 games, including poor performances from UNC, NC State, and Iowa. They also preview Week 2 of the college football season, including making predictions, strictly for entertainment purposes only. Welcome to today's show. The Yacht Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Yacht Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is the Tom Pritchard to my Jimmy Del Rey in the Heavenly Bodies in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in the early 90s. The icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, it is good to see you. College football is here, and I can't wait to talk about it. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing this morning?
Well, I had some hiccups, and we'll find out about them segment 3. But other than that, we're okay. And as I texted you last night, that's why it's called gambling. But why do we keep throwing on the goal line and not running that thing in? Well, okay. We'll talk about that later. Some people cared a little more than I did. I'll just say that. But
somebody was mad.
Somebody was very angry last night in the country. But we'll get to that segment 3. But let's just get into it. So our conference previews really help. Shout out to all of our OCP correspondents who helped us. And believe it or not, Coach, we're going to start off in the ACC. I know this won't happen often, but North Carolina State and North Carolina played 2 gimme games. And although you're supposed to be tested, you ain't supposed to be tested that much. So North Carolina State played ECU at ECU. And fans at ECU tagged us during that time period and said, hey, here's some stats that you might want to pay attention to. And apparently North Carolina State struggles against ECU. So as you'll find out, segment 3, let's just say I paid a little more attention to that game. And if it wasn't for the fact of a college kicker missing an extra point and missing a field goal, the number 11th or 13th ranked team, depending on your ratings, would have lost that. And then North Carolina played the starter of all this foolishness, App State, for what they did to Michigan years ago. And they almost came out of there with a loss. ACC football is challenged. And as much as I love those folks at Carolina who treated me so nice.
He said it's challenged.
Boston College lost to Rutgers.
Oh.
Virginia Tech lost to ODU again. Mike, we better hope Clemson just runs the table because it's going to be hard for the ACC to stay in our conversations. What are you thinking about ACC football right now after week 1?
It's ACC.
And if FAMU had their players as good as those dudes played, it might have been a different outcome.
Yeah, we be talking about that today. FAMU would definitely be the one.
All right, so we're done with that. Okay, so we're going to move to the American. And much to my partner's chagrin last year, every week, Cincinnati this, Cincinnati that, and fans of the show, we get to cross arms and hurry up and let's get through this segment. Well, he won't have to worry about that this year because Cincinnati lost week 1 and they're out of here. And if Houston didn't blink, they would have been out of here too. So they went to triple overtime with UTSA. I told you, fans, University of Texas, San Antonio plays good football, and they almost beat Houston in the Alamo Dome.
My brother hit the parlay on that one.
Oh. Segment 3, man. Did you tell him? Yo, Adams loves UTSA. Them damn Roadrunners. He's all over them.
That thing paid him well for a $10 bet. Paid him real well. He was jumping up and down all night.
All right. Okay. So we'll talk more about Houston in segment 3. Big Ten. Iowa. Now, last year, Mike, I joked and said Iowa was the slowest good team I've ever seen. This year, going against South Dakota State University, they scored 7 points, and 2 of those scores were safeties. So 2 safeties is 4 points, and the field goal was 7, and they still won the game. And I'm with 0.5. Love my son. And I'm listening to the commentator or the Sports Center update on the radio, and I said, "Did he say 5-3?" And he, and again, deadpan, not even paying attention, said, "I think so, but it's football." So I text to type, so God knows what it actually said. And I said, "Man, what is this?" And like it, I think your response was, "It's Iowa." So
I thought it was a soccer school. I got a friend who's a fan. Shout out to West. I sent him a text message. I said, "Hey, why y'all playing soccer over there? I thought it was football."
All right. Well, we're going to move on. Big 12 is Cupcake City, and we'll see you next week. I'm not doing anything with the Big 12 unless you need me to stop with Big 12. All right. SEC, Alabama, Georgia. Well, that's it, because they're really, really good, and everybody else is really, really bad. Okay.
Say good night.
What Georgia did to Oregon should be investigated by Congress. Okay, you got a January 6th commission. Who booked that game? Who booked Oregon to come to Georgia at the start of the season and play a football game? Right. And Bo Nix will never want to go to State Georgia again because it just hasn't worked out for him playing Georgia. Now, he might go on to have a good season, but stop playing Georgia.
Didn't your man do that?
I don't know who booked that, but
you didn't know?
Cristobal booked that?
Man, they booked that as soon as he got the job.
Oh, Lord.
Because he used to be the assistant. He was a coordinator at Georgia.
Well,
when they won that championship, this is his first year out there. So, that was, that's a big payday for them. And if you change in the program, you want to let your program know, hey, we're going to play the best. When's the last time Oregon? And it lets Oregon know what they got to do because, they beat up on them teams out west and they throw 6 million touchdowns and they throw for 9,000 yards a game. And then they can't beat nobody when it comes to that bowl. When you need that first down, you need 3 yards on 3rd and 3 and you can't run for it.
Well, fans who've watched the show and listened to the show all week, I pulled up the tab to get the final score of the Georgia game, and I had some Tom Brady stuff on the screen. So we'll let that go. 49-3, man. 49-3. That's what you showed your players?
Real football. You gotta show them what real football is like. Hey, this is where I came from. This is what we do. All right, this is the way we gotta be. You gotta find out how good you're gonna be. I mean, you have to. Shit, I remember I took over North Carolina first 2 games, Townsend Catholic and St. Francis.
Yeah,
Carmelo Anthony, and you know how it is when you take over a program. You gotta show them.
I can't lie. I did the same thing. I took the Wooten job. Scrimmage paint branch, and they was throwing lobs and dunking and slapping me 5 on the way down the court saying, "Good to see you, coach. How you feel?" And the Wooten players are like, "What in the hell was that?" And I said, "That's called winning." But I get you. But now we're talking about college football, man. And that's going to be a lot of conversation.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
Speaking of the Pac-12, Utah, it has been an absolute pleasure having these conversations with you. And now we just go to make sure you win at least 10 or 11 games because you're not making it to the postseason. And they lost to Florida, and we're done. We're one loss Pac-12 team. Now, I said to you clearly, if they were undefeated, you got to keep them. One loss, man. Hey, we're done. So we'll shift our focus to USC, and you'll find that out segment 3. They played Rice, so I really don't want to, spend too much time on that. Anything catch you week 1 before we move on to segment 2, sir?
No, sir. Just glad we're out of week 0 and actually got a number to it. So I was happy.
All right, fans. When we come back, we're going to talk about changes in the NCAA. A lot of changes going on. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project Academic Monitoring Service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This segment 2. Somebody's finally listened to the OCP. College football expansion. Last week, the College Football Playoffs Board of Managers unanimously voted to expand the playoffs to 12 teams starting in 2026. But the board, which consists of 11 college presidents and chancellors, encouraged the sports commissioners to try to implement the expanded format in 2024. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey said, not so fast, my friends. Although we want to do this, we're going to do it on our time. So I want fans to know that the presidents, as I tell you, they still run schools. Presidents still do it.
Yeah.
But in terms of how it's done, still goes back to those commissioners. And Greg Sankey said he isn't confident it's going to make his debut for 2026. Speaking to reporters before the Georgia massacre of Oregon,
he
said there's too much to do before the expanded playoffs can take place. So that just means I didn't like the initial numbers that you mentioned to me. And I think we need to go back to the table and get some more money. So, Mike, first of all, what do you think about the expansion to 12 teams?
I think it's going to be financially important for them because they're going to be able to generate more revenue. I think that's the main goal of this. It always has been, and we can continue to throw out that it's about the free education for the kids. But is it going to be 12 quality teams? Let's say, for instance, let's take the SEC. I would say a majority, 85% of the SEC are competitive schools. Will they have it once they go to 12? Do you think they can have 12, say, non-competitive schools? Say 8.
Well, let me tell you what it would have looked like last year. And thank you to CBS Sports because there's a lot of people who care about how this would have looked. So Alabama would have been the 1 seed last year, and they would have played the winner of the 8th seed Ole Miss versus the 9th seed Oklahoma State, and Alabama still would have won. So we move on. Michigan would have been the number 2 seed, and wait for it, they would have played the winner of number 7 Ohio State and number 10 Michigan State. So Michigan would have been out faster than you could have said Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 seed would have been Cincinnati. And they would have played the winner of number 6 seed Notre Dame versus number 11 Utah. So Cincinnati would have made it. No. Because if they had to play Notre Dame again, that wouldn't have worked out for them.
No, not at all.
And Baylor would have been the 4th seed. They would have played the winner of the number 5th seed Georgia versus the number 12th seed Pittsburgh. Oh, God. Georgia last year versus Pittsburgh as a fifth seed. Ain't no damn fifth seed. What are you talking about?
What was that score this week? They would have made that look like a close game, 49-3, right?
So that's what it would have looked like. I have no problem with it as long as the conference champions get in and you throw in a sacrificial group of 5 member and let them have
A
at
sacrifice. That's not good.
So apparently, it would look like the first round games would be on campus sites, and then the bowls would take over, and whatever. Okay. All right, moving on.
Well, how will the ending be?
Georgia, Alabama. It ain't changing.
Just asking. I don't know.
It's just taking longer to get to whatever.
To get where we supposed to be.
Before we get to the Big 12 in and the Pac 12 out, Mike, as we say every year, those games are bad.
Yeah,
they're bad. They're awful games. Yeah, you just added more awful games, but I saw the preliminary financial numbers, and I'm like, well, it's not the first bad game I've seen. All right.
And it ain't going to be the last either.
No. All right. So we're going to talk about the Big 12 and the Pac 12. The Big 12 plans to engage in discussions with Fox and ESPN about the league's next television contract. The conference said it's going to enter discussions with multimedia partners, and there's a need for that last window, that fourth window. You'll find out segment 3. The last window had Boise State and Oregon State, and let's just say Boise didn't do what it was supposed to do, but I digress. The Pac-12 has 2 years remaining on its television contract, and again, it was Boise State versus Oregon State as the big game at 10 o'clock at night. So, any thoughts about this negotiations between the Big 12 and its media partners and the Pac-12, and hopefully even having a league with the new 12-team playoff format?
Pac-12 on his way out, bro.
Well, at least it's going to stay afloat for a while because they have the playoff.
Titanic stayed afloat for a while too.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure playing with you this week. You started it. Okay, last part of this segment, FAMU update. So Mike didn't get a chance to chime in because he's had his problems with HBCUs and financial aid and all types of scheduling issues. Nearly 90 players penned a blistering letter to school president Larry Robinson last week, a day after the team lost 56-24 to North Carolina, while playing without 26 ineligible players. FAMU was paid $450,000 to make this trip to Chapel Hill. The letter implored Robinson to make changes now, and we're not interested in further empty dialogue with you or your staff. Let's just say if you've been in education a long time, you've had a lot of conversations with empty dialogue, and I'll just leave it at that. And Mike, don't you chime in on that one.
I'm not saying nothing. I ain't got nothing to say.
So FAMU's leadership responded back to its players, and the letter clarifies that the players were ruled ineligible not for academic performance, but because of procedural issues within the registrar's office, compliance office, and academic advisement. So they got poor academic advisement, apparently. FAMU has one compliance officer. They have one academic advisor for athletics. Among the other issues spelled out was financial aid was not awarded in a timely manner to buy books, register for classes, and avoid evictions. Yes, I'll say that again. Avoid evictions. That's a lot for a player to think about and playing a game. Right. The university responded by saying it's committed to maintaining a culture of compliance and conforming with NCAA guidelines. Now, Mike, any thoughts about the whole FAMU situation as somebody with experience dealing with said versus office?
I can't. Why are we punishing the kids? but it's HBCU. We know that's always messed up. That's the HBCU experience. You haven't attended an HBCU until your paperwork was messed up. That's where everybody I know that went. That's the way they say it. I'm dead serious. They made my daughter take a class. They made my daughter take a class. She argued that she didn't have to take this class. They said, "Oh, you got to, because we don't see it on your transcript." The problem was they didn't update the transcript, so she took a semester of classes that she didn't even need to take. So now it threw her back a half a year,
and that's money. That's
right.
Not a free year. That's a delay.
And then all of a sudden, because we talked about withdrawing and called, and then now she's on scholarship now. So
as somebody who does academic advisement, it is very near and dear to me. It is very close to me, especially advising student athletes. It pains me every year to continue to hear all of the problems that go about. As someone, and Mike, you do this as well, that work with summer school, struggling students in general, just trying to get the advice. And we're like, why are you even here in this class?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was told that. Well, who told you that? And it's just hard to help. I like to tell people who do support that I have the easiest and hardest job, and it's the same job, and it's just help. It's just
depending on what day of week it is.
And if you want help, man, help is available, and it's plentiful, and you can just exceed your expectations. And if you don't want help, eventually you will get back to our desk. And the same thing we told you 6 months ago is the same thing we're going to tell you now. There's no secret to success. You just got to put the work and the time in, and you got to go through the process. And if the process is broken, allow folks to help navigate these processes. So with that, we're going to take a brief break and come back and talk about things that are strictly for entertainment purposes only on the iCoaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we are going to be entertained. So here's the latest, greatest, updated OCP preseason top 5. Number 1, Alabama. I'm going to make a switch, Mike, and number 2 is Georgia, and number 3 is Ohio State.
I don't understand it. Why'd you have to switch?
Something about that.
You got to leave them Buckeyes alone, man. Y'all got to leave them Midwest people alone.
Number 4 is Clemson, and number 5, and every week, fans, the number 5 has to do with the college football playoffs, not necessarily the 5th best team, because as my partner tells you, there are only 4 in the playoffs, so why are we listed as 4? And I say we got a show to do. So Oklahoma's 5. On the outside looking in is USC, because they're the Pac-12, and they're currently undefeated. And Notre Dame, a real talk, that's a good showing for Notre Dame. That was a very good showing for Notre Dame. Ohio State supposed to be this, that, and the other. Notre Dame came in, handled his business, had some chances to win, So they're going to kind of hang around. But what did you think about the top five and outside looking in, man?
Outside looking in, it's too early to even think about that. I gotta see some teams play. Number one, number two, guaranteed. Like I don't even gotta see them play. We know that Alabama and Georgia gotta be. We'll wait on the rest of that Ohio State stuff. Anybody can beat Northwestern. Anybody can beat, people in that conference.
Well, Clemson's got Georgia Tech coming
Illinois.
up. So
Just Georgia Tech. All right. Okay. Anyway.
All right. So picks of the week. So my record last week, 2-3, 40%. And I am down $11.80. We make 5 picks. So let me go back through. ECU plus 11, that was a win. Houston and Texas over 61.5, that was a win. 2 play of the week. Louisville and Cincy both winning. No, I think they both lost. So thank you for nothing. And the 3 play of the week, Georgia handled their business. Utah, why are we throwing on the goal line? Run the ball. And Ohio State won.
That's what you get.
But that's why it's called gambling.
Yes, exactly.
And money line play of the week. And the money line play of the week every week, fans, is my upset. Boise was +3 over Oregon State and took a big L at home. So next week's game to watch. We will always post on Saturday. It gives me a chance to go through the week and see what's going on. And I always place my bets Thursday. Shout out to MGM National Harbor. That is my unofficial place until the state of Maryland annually, weekly yelling won't let me do it on my couch. We hurry up. You're killing me, man. You're killing me, Smalls. But anyway, Louisville is playing UCF. I'm going to check the line out on that. Alabama, Texas, you're going to get my money, Alabama, Texas. And Alabama, as Harley Ray said in pre-Starcade 83, get Blair. Get out of there. I want you to beat Texas something awful. South Carolina and Arkansas, I think I might stay away from that one because Arkansas looked a little bit better than I anticipated. So I'll check the line on that. And we're going to pause on that one. Tennessee, Pitt. I might do a little something on that one, Mike. Washington State, Wisconsin. You know how I like when the opposite conferences face each other? Iowa State, Iowa. I was going to look at that one.
What happened?
2 safeties and a field goal happened.
What happened? What happened? What you ain't got?
How are you at a Power 5 school with a Big Ten recruiting budget?
You ain't have a penalty kick.
You can't put together more than 7 points
against
a 1AA school or whatever they call them these days.
Was that a volleyball match over there? 5 sets to 7. Is that what it was?
Might have been tennis.
Okay, I'm trying to figure it out.
All right. Virginia's playing Illinois, and Virginia has a new coach. Might peek at that. Kentucky, Florida. That's the Georgia, Florida's the cocktail party. USC is playing Stanford. Don't lose the
world's
second week.
largest cocktail party.
Arizona State and Herm playing Oklahoma State. And Baylor's playing BYU. I might pick that game out of spite because I was just not happy with the news I heard out of BYU. So fans, follow us at Odd Coaches on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll see if I can do it right, my games. And, of course, our season-long bets. Alabama over 12 wins. They're right on their way. Georgia over 11 wins. That's still 12. I don't know why they did that. So both of them are going to be undefeated going into the championship, and that's box office, baby. Houston over 9.5. At least they got the first win. Kansas got to win, Mike. We got 2 left. Kansas got to win. We got 2 left. We got Kansas over 2.5. Fans, we've got NC State over 8.5, and we almost lost that one.
I've never seen no one so happy for Kansas to win. God, you happier than Bill Self in the championship.
Nebraska's under 7.5. They got to win.
Yeah, they got to
Notre
win
Dame
night.
over 8.5. I think Notre Dame's going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine.
Who did they play?
They played Ohio State, man. I think they're going to be okay.
Who played Ohio State?
Notre Dame.
They did all right.
They did all right. They didn't do bad. Jake, I think we got it, man. Penn State over 8.5. They got their win. Texas under 8.5. I didn't check their score.
No, I didn't see the Texas score either.
I don't even know if they played or not. I don't know.
It was probably one of them late night games.
Texas A&M played, if I'm not mistaken, and they won. I don't know if South Carolina won. I know Utah lost. Bums. And Clemson better. Clemson plays tonight at the start of the taping at Ohio State. They won, and they're supposed to win over 11 games. That wasn't the best initial thoughts and responses, but you got a whole season to get my $6.50 that I'm going to win by betting 10, and that's why the wife doesn't care. See, Tom, my wife doesn't care because I'm around. But
you said Ohio State and Clemson tonight?
No. Clemson plays tonight. Ohio State played last night, but Clemson,
I was going to say
Clemson plays Georgia Tech.
So, I mean, Clemson got practice tonight.
Mike, anything to add before we wrap this up?
Scrimmage. Clemson got a glorified scrimmage tonight. They probably have a better day of practice if they went ones versus ones in practice than they're going to get from Georgia Tech. But it is the ACC. You can only play the ones they put in front of you, so you can't get no knock to Clemson and the athletes of Clemson. I wish y'all the best this season.
That's just bad. ACC had a bad weekend. Let's do better, folks. That's what we used to say after the games, fellas. We just got.
They had a bad weekend because they bad. I mean, other than Clemson, who else is? I mean, come on, man.
Huey Lewis in the news. Sometimes bad is bad. So with that, on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. Tom, check in between practice. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.